this is where you add every input that you want to use, but it's also where you add any audio files, any graphics that you're going to use. There's graphics inside vMix that you can use in something called like GT Title Designer, which is in here. So when I do the scoreboard for, let me know if the audio's alright. Just put a thumbs up or a F in the chat if the audio's cool. So when I use the scoreboard for the def counter, this is where I would get that from. But you have a bunch of these different options for things that you can use to add to your show. And then what you can do to get more organized, you can move everything into their applicable spaces, because these are out of order just because I've thrown this together this evening. But what you'd want to do is get everything in order so that it's organized in your mind and it correlates to how you're going to run the show. Because you want to be pressing 1 to go to camera 1. You can assign whatever camera to whatever you want, but you're going to want to have a system to be able to execute the script in the way you want. So if you're using a presentation, for an example, you need to have something that's going to allow you to easily scroll through each. You use the Stream Deck to program that. But you'd also, for example, if you had a load of different presentations to choose from, you might just throw them in this tab here. And the way you would do that is, and this is what I've done for the other show, is I would choose one. So these are just singular. So these two are sort of inputs. So this is a image and this is my mixer. But this one is a mix of the both with the logo on top. So where you might add a camera input, if you had a camera, or my mixer shows up as a camera, you do it through here. But if I wanted to create my own sort of setup, for example, like the one we're using right now, I would create a blank and it would show up down here. And then what I would do is I'd come into it and I would choose my layers. So I'm gonna build it from scratch up based on everything that I have put in, that I've loaded into vMix. Sorry, you can't see that. So what happens is this box shows up once you click on that blank input, and it gives you a bunch of layers. And here I can choose from whatever different things I've added to vMix. There's some native things and there's additional things you can add, but what we're worrying about right now is the layers and then how we would organize them. So it works similar to something like Photoshop, where number 1 is the layer that's all the way at the back. That's why I put the background gradient there, and anything that I add sort of sits on top. So if I would want to make any changes, so if I were to try and change the dimensions to make it smaller right now, you can see that it's actually not doing anything. What it's actually doing is moving layer number 1 because I have layer 1 selected. So I'd want to click on layer 2. And I've added these grid lines or these safety lines just so that the image is a bit more focused and the picture looks a bit better. Then I might add our logo, but the logo comes out huge. So again, I'm gonna want to change that, bring that down to whatever size I want. I can put it wherever I want. I can put it right here if I really want to, because this image could be anything. Let me give you an example of that. So I have an image from, yeah, amazing. Let's just use this. It's not a PNG, so it's not the best, because a PNG has a transparent background, so it's got the edges count. So we'll find something else. So I should be able to add this as a layer. And you see how it has a transparent background? I can add it and squeeze it down if I want. But again, because of the layers, let's say for example I wanted to do something cool and make it kind of sit here, I couldn't. I'd have to change what layer it's on so the picture looks a bit better. So let's do that. I need to change this to this. This to if what you're dragging is not bigger, so sort of, because this is sort of squeezed down, because I'm not selecting the layer, it doesn't seem to care, which works for me. And it's nice because they kind of snap to the grid. You can see these little green lines coming up on the side. That sort of helps you to stay in alignment. Boom, we've made our own layer. Cool. So now if I wanted to organize this and use this as a shot for live, which is what I'd want to do, which is the reason why I'm creating it. Now if I go into general and click on in categories, this red one here, when I click on live, you can see it's much more organized. Only the ones that are assigned live in the general tab under their category will show up in here. So it's a way to keep all of this a little bit more organized, because everything, it's just like throwing everything in the bin and then getting sort of, no, not in the bin, for example. You understand, I don't need to make it more complicated by accident. What you can do, you can also collapse these. So if I did want to just collapse the ones that I wasn't going to use, I could do it this way and then assign the rest of the assets that I am going to use to the live tab. Does that make any sense? Now, when we click on live, because I collapsed them on all assets, they're going to be collapsed everywhere. But now they're just here and it's easy. You can find those. So now what we're going to want to do is assign some buttons to our Stream Deck. So I've opened Stream Deck here. And what you would do is, once you have vMix, you would download the vMix. Oh, we're gonna play in a second. Just bear with me. We are growing. You're gonna want to add the vMix. I don't even know what it's called to this action system. And then what I do is I drag on some buttons. But because I want to be organized, I'm gonna do it a different way. I'm going to delete this, and I'm not that proficient with Stream Deck yet. This is me learning on the job as well. I'm going to create a new page so that we can go to that new page, page number 2, and then I'm going to add the buttons there, because then they have their own section and then we're good to go. So it just looks like a naked button right now because that's what it is, but that will change shortly. So how many buttons do I need? Merge, intro slate, main shot, gaming. I'll probably start stream, start recording. I'll label these so that we remember. And this is going to matter when we go into vMix to tie the buttons to these actions. But that will make sense shortly. Let me know if my audio is alright. If you haven't liked and subscribed, please do so. But yeah, what we're doing right now, we're going to add these vmix buttons, then we're going to tie them to some actions so that when we press them on the stream deck, something magical happens. And this can get super complicated, but this is the basic. So this one down here is going to be merge, but do you know what I should do? I should create a button to go back. So if I wanted to be back on the other page, I could go straight there. Boom. Because I can change profiles if I want. I can also add some different buttons here that aren't just vmix buttons, and then you can still do some actions. If I wanted to play some sounds, for example, which is something that we'll add down the line, I just need to get all the sounds that I want and then go through the meticulous, boring job of downloading them. But somebody please let me know if my audio's all right. Anyway, let's continue. If it's not, rip. I just want to check where some things are on the other page, because sometimes it's good to have some stuff in the same space, just for memory. What did we say these buttons are going to be? I could just put camera 1, camera 2, but I'm going to put main shot and then gaming, because I'll show you something in a second. For the sake of making extra content, I'm going to try and record this in, and the reason why the logo is in the middle is because when I trim this for Instagram Reels, it's only going to take the center, because I could crop it down, but I don't want to lose any of the quality. Because again, you do kind of just see the middle of the screen anyway. We'll see what it looks like. We have the whole 1080p big recording anyway, but yeah, so main and then gaming. So it's not pretty. We can change the background. Stream deck is pretty cool. Go to the icon library, pulls up this. Usually I just throw on this one. It's pretty straightforward. You can get like really complicated. I think I've got some moving ones, maybe not on this one, but yeah, you can go on the web and download a bunch. There's like a bunch of paid versions as well. And so let's say, for example, I wanted to start the stream, but I knew the stream was just going to YouTube. I could have it like this, and on vmix you can have multiple streams going, so you could have 2 streams going. I wanted to have one going to Twitch at the same time, just have a Twitch button. Bob's your uncle. Cool, now let's do the more complicated bit. One sec, please. Where were we? All right, one thing I've just noticed that doesn't look too great. Something you can change right now. So I'm gonna go into here. We can also name it. So I'm gonna put desktop capture, because this name shows up everywhere. So when I want to assign it as a button, I kind of want to be able to associate with something. And if I just have everything named color, because that's the standard name that it gives you when create a new blank input, then I'm screwed. Organization is paramount. The little thing that I noticed that I don't like is under the USB capture device, there's no border. And when you're building these events, you want uniformity, because everything starts to look a bit weird And you may not notice, but you can tell. See if it's the same for this one. Yeah, it's the same for this one. Because there's a line around where the border is, it kind of like, you can't tell, but you'll see now. Maybe you will. Anyway, so if we go into settings and we go into shortcuts, now we're gonna add the buttons. So this is not complicated, but remember how we assigned the buttons to specific spaces. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna click add, and then I'm gonna click find, and then I'm gonna find the button that I want to assign. So I'm gonna hold it, it's gonna identify what that button is. I'm gonna click OK. Now it knows we're dealing with that button only. So the function of this button is, and this is the amount of functions that this can do. But what we want it to do, and this is something that you might make a list of before you even come to creating your vMix show, is a list of buttons, outputs and inputs that you need, like, just so that you know what you're actually trying to achieve and how it's super efficient, so that when you come to create these buttons and the shortcuts, it's just easy. And what we want to do is, in our input, we want to preview our inputs, and the input that we want to preview is our main shot. So we're going to go back out, because again, like I said, if we look down here, it says color. What did I say a second ago? If you don't label things up, you're going to get confused. So I couldn't find that very easily because I didn't label it. Across everything, you want everything to be labeled up, and that's just going to make things so much easier right now. So I could even go through here and clean this up, but I'm not going to. So I'm just going to stick in here because this will be easy to find. Go back into our shortcuts, go to add a button. We're going to still do the main, so I'm gonna press find, hold down that button, and then I'm gonna press OK. One thing you have to bear in mind, these can deal with down motions and up motions as well. So what that means is you could have it set so when you hold it down, it does a function, but then when you let go of the button and it reaches the up motion, it performs another function. So it might be, for example, if I have a direct connection with somebody's microphone and I just want them to be able to hear me when I press the button, I can make it so that it activates my mic when I press the button down, and when the button comes back up, it mutes the mic. So again, function, we want to preview. You could just type it in the top, but I'm getting a tiny bit better at this, so I remember where something's off, but I'm in S, so I've gone too far. Preview input. We want to preview the input, which is the main shot. Mix don't know. We can just say main for the title, and the description is main shot 1. I'm going to save this locally. So for this preset only, you just don't want to be saved everywhere. You could have it saved everywhere, but we're not going to do that. I'm just going to click OK. So now let's see if what we've done has worked. So what this should do is this should throw this shot here into here. Let's see. It's a moment of truth. 3, 2, 1. Boom. And it worked first time. So we just assigned a button so that when it comes to, let's say for example, like yesterday when I rage quit, I just want to take a break. If I'm fumbling around trying to find the mouse and that's long, you just want to have a quick, alright, rage quit button. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to assign the other two buttons now for the desktop capture and the gaming shot. But I didn't in the Stream Deck assign a button for desktop capture. Go back in here, back to shortcuts, add. Now desktop captures in the middle. I'm going to click find. It's going to find this button. I'm holding it down. So let's just observe what happens if I leave the button in an up motion. What you're going to see is that numbers should change. Well, the number didn't change, but it does says Stream Deck button up as opposed to Stream Deck button down, which is where it is. So again, you can have a motion or an action in both positions. Now that it knows that that's the button we're trying to assign, we want to choose the function again, same one as before. Type it in this time. Preview input. The input that we want is desktop capture. Double check if it's number 12 though. But I assume it is. We'll see. If not, we'll change it, because again, there's going to be the desktop capture input, and then there's going to be the desktop capture it's also an input, so it's kind of just a different setup input. I don't know what the word is right now, so it could be one or the other, but we'll find out. We'll just say desktop, because there's on the title there's a limit. There's also a limit for that one. Save it locally again. Press OK. Actually, no, wait, we won't. We'll add the other button first. Last time. It's like a joke. After the third time, you'll get it. Find. Hold the button down for gaming. Now it knows that's the one we're trying to choose. Now press OK. Let's see if all those buttons work. Gaming works. Desktop works. Only thing we need to add to this shot is logo. We're gonna play Fortnite. Chill out, Fortnite. You keep trying to rage quit on me. But this is all the type of stuff that you would do long before a show, when you're organizing with whoever it is that is helping you to plan the show. So it is some meticulous work, but once you've built it, it should just work. Again, that is not true. And I say that because everything breaks because technology is insane. There is no rhyme or reason to when some things work and when some things don't work. And I promise you, an update could ruin your life. But if you do plan things, most of the time it's going to be fine, because things are going to be organized. It should be much easier than any other time. So we've added a logo now. Looks a tiny bit better. Now we need to add a merge button. So what we're going to do is same thing again, but I'm not going to repeat through this. Now you're going to talk to me. Somebody tell me how their day's been. Sorry, I'm just gonna try and quickly get through these last ones. I'm just gonna add the intro slate. Intro slap. I'm not gonna create the streaming button right now or the record button right now because I'm doing both. So if I do it and then I start pressing them and then we go offline, that would be rip. Okay. That's the wrong input. The one we want is this one. But you can't see that anymore. So because I'm activating that scene, it's turning on the audio from my camera. What I should just do is turn off the audio on the camera so it's not outputting audio, so we don't have this problem. So I'm also going to do that, but I just want to fix something real quick. Labels, people. Don't forget your labels. Good planning means labels. I'm gonna name it gaming record because this is the one I am recording. Well, I'm recording the main output, but for my second output, I'm gonna be recording this one in a 9:16 ratio, so it looks nice down the middle. Go to my shortcuts because I want to change something. This is the one that we want. Let's see. Oh wait, it was already in there. So let's click on something else. Yeah, because we want the one with me on the camera on the top and the Fighter Spirit Gaming logo or the retro logo on the bottom. So yeah. I'm going to play some games now. How was that little lesson for the day after my rage quit yesterday? I was so pissed, I'm not gonna lie, man. Uncle man, he was doing me dirty. But we made it. We're gonna play some Fortnite. I'm just going to... I thought I had music playing. That's one thing I just remembered. I did add some music to this. Relaxing lo-fi beats. Let's see something. Because we can add it to this input because it's kind of good for it to sit under my audio. But let's just see something. It should be here. But again, turning on the camera audio, which we don't want. Hey, yeah. I turned off the audio. Some of my layers are still not complete. But how's this sound? I'm gonna pause my headset on here. So I'll show you where my... Okay, the audio is not on this one, which I'm going to add it. So it sits under my voice. But what I'm going to do, I'm listening to myself right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this down, and I'm going to head to the stream, and I'm just going to listen out from here real quick. Sounds great. Only thing that I noticed is I do not have a border around this input, I don't think. I do. Just add one here. We're aiming for uniformity, but we're doing well. Come back over here, turn my audio up. Sounds good? I'm happy. This audio stuff for me is up and down. But yeah. Let us get ready to game.